Just doing a little live. Hello, everybody. Come on in. Just wanted to talk a little bit today. Ain't got really much going on. It's foggy and cold up here in my city. A little bit. I've been seeing a lot of stuff going on, as we know, in the news and in the paper, all this stuff with the war. I don't even want to talk about that because I know people tired of hearing about that. Just always talking about something negative and stuff in the news. And these YouTube streets are just as crazy as it want to be. Me and my daughter was just talking about how people get so wrapped up, um, just in their own life. They just get so wrapped up in stuff that's going on with them. They really don't have time to take a breath or just look up and see what's going on around them. And one thing we definitely need to start doing is paying attention to the stuff that is going on around us. There's just too much stuff going on that I was looking at some of these AI pictures and new stuff that's going on with this AI. And it's really, the graphics are really good. A lot of people have changed um, their thumbnails and different things of that nature. I was looking to see, I seen a couple of them. They look like Jay-Z's daughter. Hey, Maisha, just doing a little live today, just talking about some stuff. I was just about to talk about this new AI going on. I was seeing some pictures of um a young lady that got some likeness to Blue Ivy. I said, now look at that. We've been calling this Beyonce's internet, and truly, this is Beyonce's internet. Because they definitely getting a huge piece of the pie. You using her daughter's likeness, because the little girl definitely looked like Blue Ivy a little bit. And a lot of times when we do these facial games and facial recognition things on this AI, you giving them permission to use your likeness anywhere. I quit putting pictures of me and my family up on social media, and I quit doing them games. Oh yeah, I didn't see much about the other daughter. I've never heard them push and promote this other baby girl like they do Blue Ivy. I don't know what the favoritism is, and as we all know, Maisha, you never see the sun. So to me, it's definitely, I don't know what's going on with that, but um, you never see nothing about those twins. They're definitely protected and guarded, you know. But they definitely marketing Blue Ivy to take over, uh, to take over the throne. She's definitely being groomed for that. And I think a lot of these entertainer children, they don't get to be whatever it is they want to be. Their parents push them into this life, to keep all of it, sometime to keep all of this madness going on. Let's be real. Because all this stuff that's been coming out lately about the entertainment business, this stuff has been dark and diabolical. You know, the saying ain't no business like show business, but who would have thought that this was what show business was about? Baisha, I do believe that. I believe that they definitely have her growing up too fast. Definitely had her growing up too fast with the makeup and putting her out there in front of everybody on a total display. I think to me, it was definitely too young. We see a lot of people, they kind of protect their children, you know, when they're little. We didn't see Britney Spears and those type of people, Christina Aguilera, even Mariah Carey don't put her kids out there like that. Madonna, well, I see Madonna's daughter lately. I've seen the one daughter that Madonna has. I do see her dancing and stuff with her. But some of those movie stars, they protect their children very well. Um, but something about Blue Ivy, she was just like put out there, you know, on display. So I think that's definitely something that, why we wonder why all this stuff continue as a cycle with this industry mess going on. Uh, all this stuff that's never stop. And that's just how it is. But it's definitely a shame to how they push those children out. And I was just saying something about Britney Spears again in the news, a suspected DUI. And that girl, she went through the ringer. Her family did so much to her. You wonder why she stayed numb to feelings and emotions. She was probably being pulled every which way. Not to mention, these children are being the breadwinners of their whole family. That's a lot of pressure for a child. People don't think about that. And then when they get older, you see they start looking like Orlando Brown, all messed up in the head. Yeah, that girl got a lot of mental issues. A lot of mental issues. And Kevin Featherline didn't make it no better. He made that girl crack up with herself. That girl turned in on herself. That was a total mental crash out right there. And he got rich. Because remember, he wasn't nothing but a background dancer. Kevin Featherline hit the jackpot, wasn't nothing but a background dancer. But that industry destroys a lot of these young people. Like, look now, now they control them with the drugs, in the illusion of fame and fortune. That's what they control them with, the illusion. They fill their head with all this they fill their head with all this mess. They probably have them reading all type of books because remember, they got to go through all of this character building. They have to build their image building and all of that. So there's no telling what they putting in their head. And then on top of that, you get them all messed up. Hey, room shaker, you get them all messed up and addicted to the psych drugs, not just the narcotics, but you remember they got to get them on the psych drugs first. So they get them diagnosed with anxiety, bipolar, all this old other mess. They get them labeled, and then they start controlling them with the psych meds, and then come the narcotics, which is just a whole mess. It just be a whole mess with these movie stars, and then everybody making this big thing about the Jeffrey Epstein thing. Yeah, it's wrong. I'm not saying that it's not, but we got to remember Hugh Hefner built the empire on that. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't the first person that did this. He just the first person to be punished for this. Because remember, Hugh Hefner was throwing all type of, he built a whole marketing line for selling sex. Got them young country girls and put them on total display. None of those people went to jail. People got to forget all, this Epstein thing. To me, it just seems like it's the biggest thing since Watergate, but nobody is being punished. Yeah, it may look like they're getting punished. the slaps on the wrist, but nobody is truly being punished. You having all the Clintons done testified, and now they trying to. I was hearing about Savannah Guthrie's husband or something was connected to this Epstein thing, and then her mother go and get kidnapped. It's just a lot. It is just a whole lot, you know. But this stuff has been going on. So when you get to talking about punishing these people, you got to go back. Start talking about that. Start talking about the Hugh Hefner era. And Hugh Hefner has been doing that for decades. He just didn't start when he became a old white man. He started this as a young guy. So you got to look at the people that they punishing and how they doing it. Oh yeah. I do believe that I didn't see how uh her husband was even connected with that Maisha. I didn't even believe he to me, I didn't even think he was in the right line of a career move to even be involved with this. And then I'm not saying that you had to be a certain type of professional to be involved in Epstein. I'm just saying he wasn't up there with the elites. That's all I'm saying. But definitely, whoever I mean, sorry, not Katie Couric, whoever Savannah Guthrie done got involved with, this definitely is personal. This is definitely personal. But in my opinion, I just don't think that the lady is no longer here. I just don't think that the lady is no longer here. You don't hear nothing about a ransom or anything, any contact with any of the suspected kidnappers or anything to that nature. So this is definitely a suspicious case. Um, that's been that's happening. That's why I say there's too much stuff going on in the world. Uh for people to be stressing out about the little things that you can't control. It's just too much, you know? Yeah, I do too, Maisha. I hope that the family gets some type of closure. I definitely hope they get some resolution to this and some answers. Um, you hear there's just a lot going on, you know. When me and my older kids, we was talking. Just talking about life. Me and my daughter was talking about, I do kind of like my daughter doesn't she lives in a whole nother state than me. She don't live near me. So me and her was talking and she said, Well, I don't like being a no adult. She said, I don't like being an adult. I said, honey, that's what it is. She said, when I was growing up and I used to see you, she said, I couldn't wait to be an adult. Said, I thought being an adult was a party. She said, I thought I was going to have a big party being a grown up. I said, no, that ain't what it is. She said, I know. She said, man, you got to pay bills. You got to do everything. I said, yeah, that's part of being an adult. She said, I never saw you stressed or nothing. I said, so maybe that means I did a good damn job being a mother, you know, because that was always something that I worried about, what that I was teaching her things to be self-sufficient adult. You know, I say, yeah, being an adult is not easy. That's why, I always try to protect my children and allow them to be children and keep their innocence as long as possible. Like we was just saying about the Beyonce and Blue Ivy thing. Hey Diva the boss. We just chit chatting a little bit. Like we was saying about Blue Ivy, that little girl grew up so fast. You know, you got these mothers, they got their little 2 and 3 year old daughters looking like they grown ups. You know, and to me, I just don't find it cute. You know, you let these kids, you know, they growing up so fast, and then when they start being acting grown, when you want them to be like a kid, you battling because you done laughed and wanted them to be an adult when they was little, when it was cute, when they was walking around shaking and doing all that stuff as a little kid, and then when they began to become a teenager or a preteen, they began to think that they on your level. You know, I never found that type of stuff cute. I never thought it was funny or any of that. That stuff ain't cute at all, you know, especially for little girls. And we ain't teaching them, you know, things that's beneficial. We ain't teaching them that it's nothing wrong with being modest. It's nothing wrong with keeping yourself covered. You know, so when you got your teenage daughter, you know, dressing like I don't know what, that's because you put some of that stuff on her when she was a little girl and you thought it was cute. You know, I see a lot of that. That stuff. That's why I say these kids need to keep their innocence as long as they can. As long as they can. Even with little boys, not just little girls. You know, you had these little young boys walking around here with their pants sagging. You know, you got them talking to grown, like they grown men and they little boys. I don't find none of it cute. And they don't realize that shit rub off on the parents. Shoot, I remember when I was a teenager, when I started venturing off and got off the porch. Man, I used to be scared to do stuff in the street because I used to be scared that, oh, maybe I might see one of my neighbors or somebody that knew my mother. Because you know, you do something wrong in the street back in the day, everybody gonna know before you get to the house. You know, now you can't say nothing to people's kids. You know, people talk about, oh, the village, and you need a village. You can't have a village now because don't nobody want you saying nothing to their kids or correcting the kids. People don't put in the kids' head that now they the parents. You got the damn kids monitor and advising the damn adults. Shoot, I got a 12-year-old. I told my 12-year-old, I wish you would. I don't care who you call. You think there's somebody out there that could take care of you better than me? I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you go out the door. I'm gonna help you go out the door. We done allowed society to put in our kids' head, oh, call this people on your mother. Your mother shouldn't be doing this to you. Hey, yo, no adult should be doing that to you. If they teaching them the right thing, then I don't see nothing wrong with correcting another child. You know, these kids don't know how to be kids no more. You know, I was just talking to some people. You know, I've been watching a couple videos, and I'm like, when is it okay to admit that the parent, and I say parents, both the mother and the father, done failed the child? Because it's okay to blame, oh, the school failed the child, the doctor failed the child. It's okay to say everybody done failed this child, but the one person that's primarily responsible for the child. You know, people don't want to say, oh, the parents failed the child. Yeah, sometimes the parents do fail. You know, you got a child, you got to equip yourself to deal with that child. You know, some people want to put it off on somebody else. No, it's you the first person that's responsible for that child. It ain't nobody else's responsibility. That's why I say bad. Yeah, these parents don't want to take responsibility. They want to blame it on somebody else. You know, that stuff be so wild and crazy. I'm like, no. Then they say, oh, well, you shouldn't blame the mom. You don't know what she went through or what she didn't go through. But she knew she was a mother. She knew 9 months into becoming a mother, she knew she was going to be a mother. And the father knew also, it ain't just the mother. I ain't going to just say on the mother. It's the father too. A lot of these men, they get off easy. We don't never want to hold them as responsible as we do the women. But these men are just responsible. We think because they're not the custodial parent, they feel like they can get an easy break off. Hell to the no. You just as responsible. I had somebody I knew, I think their niece or somebody had to go to court for truancy for their kid. I said, well, why ain't they taking the father to court for truancy? It's both of y'all responsibility to get that child to school or make sure that child get to school. That's the thing. It ain't just about child support with these men. A lot of these men feel like, oh, because they ain't the custodial parent and they pay that little piece of ass child support, that they ain't responsible for nothing else. You responsible for everything else, just like the custodial parent is. A lot of these men, they sit up, they had these babies, and then they move off, and then they go be with another woman that got about 3, 4, 5 kids, and then they taking better care of them damn kids than they do their own kids. And they feel like, oh, because they pay that little bit of child support, that they doing what they supposed to do. But you'll get up and take that woman's kids to school. Then get up and go take your kid to school. Make sure all the kids get to school. That's the thing. A lot of these men, they damn feet ain't being held to the fire about everything. We see that shit all the time. These men, they get out here, they make these babies, they just drop these babies off, and then they go and get in a relationship with a woman with 3, 4, 5 kids. And then they taking better care of them kids than they do their own kids. And then you got the woman laying up there and she ain't holding them to the fire. She ain't saying nothing. Like the hell with that. I don't want no man in my life that if I got kids and you got kids and you ain't taking care of your damn kids. Oh, thanks, Diva, for sharing me out. That stuff is crazy. I ain't sitting up with no man in my face that if you got kids and you think you gonna be over here playing dad and you ain't playing dad, being a dad, because you don't play nothing with your own kids. You ain't being no father to your own kids. No, that is so weak. That stuff is so, so weak. And a lot of these women, they put up with that stuff. No, no, I ain't doing it. That's why they say you got to definitely start being more considered. You got to more consider more who you had these babies with. You know, we done had these babies with these men. We already know how they are. We know just how they are. We already know they have kids. They drop them off. They don't take care of them. When they done with you, they done with the kid. And then you go and have a baby by them because you think you could be the one to change them. Hell no, you ain't changing that man. He doing just what he doing. He gonna be just what he is. Trust and believe. These women think they could change these men, and the only thing they be changing is they damn self. Can't change no grown person. You think you doing something special. No, nothing special at all. I said, I ain't with none of that. Mm-mm. Don't play nothing with my kids. And then you got these women, they bring any type of men around their kids. They don't care who the man is. Don't get to know the man. Bring the man right in and have them laying right in up on top of their kid. Hell no. I don't do none of that. And I wasn't raised like that. Heck no. Women bring the man, bring him right in like he done been there all day life. Eating up all the food. The kids can't touch this. Kids can't touch that. Talking crazy to the kids. Hell to the no. Ain't nobody going for that shit. None of that. Mm-mm. My kids wasn't having it. When me and my kids' father did split up for a little bit, my kids called their father, let the man say something to them that they think is out of line. That my kids felt like was out of line. They was calling their daddy. They ain't care what time it was. That's what I'm saying, Maisha. Hell and no, girl. Whereas I was looking at them old TV shows, Good Times and all them shows. I said they had James, what's his name? James Evans on there. James Evans was a damn tyrant. That's all he was in that damn house. James Evans had everybody in the goddamn house scared of him. Florida scared of him. The damn kids scared of him. Hell to the no. Now you ain't about to terrorize every damn body in the house. You come in the house, you can't make a noise, can't turn the TV on, can't shut the door. This man just running through the damn house like a mad damn king. That's what James Evans was. James Evans was mean as hell to his fucking family. Like, come on, that shit, no. And that didn't go on in my house. And most of us that grew up into two-parent households, it was the mother that ran the house. Yeah, the father might have been a disciplinarian and all that, but your mama really had the last word. It was really your mama that had the last word. I don't know what the hell was going on with Florida Evans. But James had them, he had all them damn kids scared of him. I said, wow. On all them damn TV shows, most of them TV shows where the father is in the house. Except for you got the suburban family with the Brady Bunch. And that shit wasn't nothing but television for real. You know that. We all know that. That shit wasn't real life at all. Hey, TRW. We just chit chatting. Ain't talking about much. Talking about these crazy people in this world. Just stuff that goes on in the world. Because these people been acting mad damn crazy on this app. And I've been a little bit of everywhere. I was over in the beef sector, the Mo3 sector. They go all, it seemed like everybody, these motherfuckers drinking the Kool-Aid. They all going crazy over here. Hey, Movado. I ain't putting James Evans down like that, girl. I'm just saying, Movado. James Evans was a tyrant, honey. He had everybody in that damn house afraid of him. James Evans, man, you had to walk on cotton around that damn house. That stuff was smooth. And that's just how most of us was raised. That was normal. That's what they thought was normal in our households. But most of us didn't even write the TV shows. You know, the TV shows wasn't written by people that could identify with what they was trying to show. So of course we know they was gonna have it all wrong. That's how they do. Just looking back at all those TV shows, even some of the TV shows now. A lot of these TV shows, even now, they do not depict real life. Not real life at all. Stuff is just, ooh. Mm. It's been so cold up here where I'm at up here in this on this lake. It's been so cold and rainy. I can't wait for the weather to break. You know, this time of year, spring is like my best time. I like spring and I like fall. You know, I like spring because everything's new. You know, everything's coming into bloom. Everything's waking up. A lot of the animals are coming out of hibernation. You know, you get to open up your windows, let some fresh air in. I love fresh air. I got a central air system and I don't even hardly use it. I rather open up my windows. And I got a lot of plants. So I open up my windows, open up my screen door, let some fresh air blow through. You know, I love the spring. And then you got the fall. You know, I love the fall. That's when everything's changing again, harvest season. You know, start putting you in a better mood in the spring. You know, the winter's a little depressing time for a lot of people. I mean, it seems like depression is running rampant. You know, a lot of people are being triggered, and a lot of mental illness are resurfacing with a lot of people that they didn't weren't aware that they had or knew that they had it, and it progressed. You know, me and my therapist was talking about that because yes, I do go to therapy. I do go to therapy. And you know, a lot of our community, we're still just getting into the idea of accepting therapy. Um, because in our community, therapy was not something that we did, we talked about. You know, it was always what happens in this house stays in this house type of uh logic. And that's why a lot of us are traumatized and damaged. A lot of us are damaged to unrepair, honey. Believe it or not, unrepair. Um, but the spring will definitely change a lot of people's energy. It changed a lot of people's how they resonate and stuff. So, you know, maybe this time may be good for a lot of people when it comes to the spring. I can't wait. I got some vacation, a lot of vacation time coming up. I'm going to be doing some traveling. I haven't traveled in a long time, but I'm doing domestic travel. I am not curious at all about traveling out of the country. Nowhere. I figure America has a lot that I haven't seen in America because it seems like uh Americans are targeted nowhere, everywhere, sorry, everywhere we go. It seems like we're not safe nowhere. Um, so I'm gonna stay right here where I know I'm kind of safe at, you know. Uh, and believe it or not, America, we have a lot of beautiful things to see in this country. There's a lot of things that we can do and a lot of things to be explored right here in this country that we don't take advantage of. We feel like we got to go far or somewhere to a whole nother country to broaden our horizon. And you can do that right here. And I'm not uh telling people or advocating don't travel or anything of that nature out of the country. I'm just speaking my thought. You know, I feel like we could do that right here in America. I want to explore my own backyard before I go somewhere else. Oh, hold on for a second. I got to do something. I'm making a butter pound cake for the first time. I never made a pound cake, so I was just checking my pound cake, see how it's turning out. I'm so nervous because I've been trying to make this pound cake um, for about a whole month now. I'm not a good baker. I will admit to that. Now I could cook, could burn in the kitchen, but I'm not a good baker. Baking is something I'm not good at. For the holidays, my sister, she does all when I we used to do our holidays together, me and my sisters, because we live very close to each other. And my one sister, she can bake her butt off. My grandmother taught her how to do donuts from scratch, cookies from scratch, cakes from scratch. She don't use no box cake. She do all her cakes from scratch. I'm talking down to the cake flour and the baking soda and baking powder, honey. Fried donuts, make homemade cookies. My sister do all that stuff. And it don't even gotta be a holiday. She just loves to bake. So I'm doing me a caramel, it's called an old southern caramel butter pound cake. So we'll see how that turned out. I'm gonna take a picture and put it on my community wall. Also, I've been thinking about trying to do a ladies panel, um, like a talk show and wine, because I'm just getting into wines. I joined a couple wine clubs. So I'm trying to become a wine connoisseur. So I want to incorporate wine and the ladies' point of view as a little show. Um, just somewhere we could come and talk as women and just talk about different issues from our standpoint, you know. Um, so I've been meeting a couple people from different sectors. Like I said, I've been going to a lot of different sectors, meeting a lot of different women, trying to network to do that. Okay, what you say, Diva? You do all kind of scratch cakes, but definitely make cake from the box. Tastes like scratch. Okay, Diva. Yeah, Diva. Some of your meals you be posting, girl, they be good, honey. They be looking real good. I said I want to try some of your stuff. I like that. Was it a baked spaghetti? Maybe I don't know if it was on your page, but yeah, Diva. I want to do some of your recipes. I seen you post. But I know that's right. What you say, make that box cake taste good, honey. Yeah, but I'm just so nervous. I'm not a baker at all. I'll be afraid my cake gonna stick to the pan and all of that. So you should have seen me in there. I was taking my time, had my measuring cups and everything, girl. So hopefully it's gonna turn out right. And I'm supposed to be going. I moved out of my hometown, so I'm going back home to me and my to meet with my sisters, my half sisters. My grandmother had left us some land in Nashville, Tennessee, in a trust. And one of our great cousins lives there. They're the groundskeepers. And the county want to buy some of the lumber. Some of the county want to buy some of the lumber. So we have to go to Tennessee to talk to the attorney and see negotiate how we're going to do it. And one thing about when my nana set this up, has set the trust up in the land for us, um, we all are equal owners. So we have to all agree to whatever changes are going to be made to the land. So we're going to go talk to the county and stuff about this lumber they want to purchase from us. And I got one of my nursing girls I work with, her brother sells lumber. And she was telling me how much money he made off of lumber. I think last year or year before, he made about 50K off of just selling lumber, honey. So I said, girl, I ain't, you'd be surprised of all the avenues that people make a living off of. Because who would have thought that? Well, I didn't. And she said the people wanted the lumber. I guess they're building. They're building on the property. And they wanted the lumber. Some people wanted the lumber. So uh, he made about 50K. And I said, that's a good business. People don't think about that type of business, lumber business and all that type of stuff. We can make money off of just buying property. See all this country hillside property, maybe up for sale, don't even know it. And I've only been the property that we have that my nana left for us. I'm not very tight with my biological family side. But they still include me. I know who they are. They are well aware of who I am. We've owned this property since I want to say 2001 is when my father died, and then it passed to us. My biological father died. Um, so, honey, I got to go and deal with that this summer. We're going down there this summer to meet with the people. So, of course, we're not looking to make $50,000. But we just selling a little piece of property, little piece of land we got for some of the lumber that's on the land. And um, we'll get all the details when we go down there. Um, but I was in another sector. I'll talk a little bit about this stuff that I've been seeing on these streets. I said I was never going to talk about this YouTube stuff on my channel. I don't want my channel to be about that. I talk enough about that stuff on other people's channel where the content is happening at. But I was seeing something on YouTube about Brianna went to jail. The girl, the truth woman went to jail. I said, wow, she done went to jail, got them two twin babies, her and Jonelle cutting the fool. Now he done put her in jail. I'm telling you, these YouTube celebrities is just out of their damn mind. They are out of their mind. Not just as bad as the girl Brianna. Yeah, I seen that. Diva, I seen Brianna that took her. She done got her butt arrested, girl. Man, I just say, you know how she tried to paint LaTruth. Now, I wasn't no true LaTruth supporter, following him and all of that. I just watched the trending stuff that was on the internet. But you see how she made him out to be this drama person, this chaos demon. And you see how she ain't even with LaTruth. And look at how she is behaving. You know, right, Diva. That's the point I'm trying to make, girl. What maybe it was some truth to what LaTruth was saying, because she ain't even with LaTruth and she's still like searching for that motherfucking attention. Like she's still thriving for that damn attention. Like that was crazy. And you tried to get LaTruth arrested. You tried to slander that man's reputation. And look, Your butt wind up in goddamn handcuffs, girl. Look at it. Yeah, when that stuff popped off, Diva, I was watching. That's when I really start getting into it heavy. And then that stuff popped off with his sisters and stuff. Now I didn't like that. I too much didn't care for that type of content, but that's what happens when you got insiders getting into family business. You know, you got insiders getting into family business and then they start taking sides and that stuff just got ugly. Hey Detached, how you doing, sister? I miss y'all. I gotta get some time. I gotta make some time to come chill with y'all. I miss our sessions. But yeah, Diva, that stuff I was on the floor. I was watching Latte and I was on the floor. Latte said she walking up with them two babies on her hip. She said, little Bobby and Whitney, she got them on her hip and she walking up to the door. I was on the floor. Oh, man. Yeah, Detached. Because I don't even really want to talk about this stuff. Sorry for switching the subject so fast, but Detached. That stuff that went on with Queen Pisces these last couple days, that was horrible. Now, that troll move was a straight failure. And I know y'all are laughing down. I know y'all laughing down in the closet, honey. I know y'all laughing down at both of them, though. Him and her. But back to the truth, Diva. That was crazy, honey. That the truth stuff. And now look at her. Now she in the clink. Now she in the clink. Yeah, that was pitiful. Yes, that stuff was pitiful, girl. But I was just like, look, and I haven't watched a lot of everybody, but that stuff is crazy. And then I see they talking about, well, Peach is gonna stay in the news. So Peach McIntyre, she ain't going nowhere off this social media, honey. She gonna be right here. And then I was seeing a little bit about Krishan. That's just a bad situation with Krishan. And then they saying Blueface got another baby on the way. Oh yeah, I was talking about Brianna is in jail, Detached. Brianna got put in jail. Child. So I was just talking about how, she was trying to make the truth out to be this bad guy. Yeah, they said he got the twins. Latae said the twins are with him, and I didn't hear about her bond, but I didn't know that her bond was only 3K. Big Money can't get out on 3K. Not Big Money. Not Big Money Bree. Not Big Money Brianna. Or Brianna. How they say her name? Brianna? Yeah. But now what you think? I think Jonelle going now keep them babies, and she gonna have a hard time getting them babies back if she don't hurry up and get out of jail. If she don't hurry up and get out of jail, somebody probably coerce him to go down and file for temporary custody. I'm telling you. Because he dirty too. He dirty too. Well, no, I was just saying I haven't really been seeing Krishan, but they said Blueface is supposed to have another baby on the way. Because I haven't seen Krishan I haven't seen her in a minute. I kind of follow what's going on with that through another content creator. But I know they said Blueface supposed to have another baby on the way. Um, but that's a good thing that Krishan hasn't been on here for a minute. I think it's only been a few days that she hasn't really been on the internet. And I don't know if it's because she's getting ready for a match or what's going on with that. But That's why I was talking about Krishan, is because I heard that Blueface had another baby on the way. Oh, girl. All this stuff is just crazy. And then I was listening to Shamar's live from last night. And this stuff with Looney to me is just it's just starting to get played out because now your marriage is part of commentary. But to me, it seems like the wife was accepting of Looney's behavior. Looney ain't just start doing all this stuff, and she was okay with it. I think that now that her stuff done came to the YouTube and it's being talked about, that now she want to act like she ain't cool with it and she want to try to make a stand. But to me, it seemed like this woman is good with it. That's it. That's all. She all right with her husband acting like that. And if you are, that's cool too. I mean, if you okay with your man doing what he doing, that's cool too. But I think you coming to the internet to try to get sympathy from the streets and the people that's listening and that's aware of it, that's a little weird to me. You know? Yeah, I'm not giving all that heat to Mel. I'm not giving all that damn heat to Mel because everybody is well aware of everybody. Right. That stuff is crazy. That's why I said to be like, it's not, I'm not giving Mel all that, all that slack and shit. And I ain't giving the wife no slack. I just feel like they all cool with it. And that's cool too. You know, they all grown adults, but don't try to come and play on the people's sympathy. That stuff is just real damn weird. I hope Krishan do Diva. Do hope Krishan gets into this, takes this boxing thing serious. Because she can really make a living and sustain her and her baby. She could do something with herself and her baby, and she can also begin to detach herself from this toxic Blueface storyline. Now if she try to get into the boxing and I don't want to say rebrand herself because it's already out here. She already has a digital footprint of what it was, but she could definitely turn it around and start the boxing in a positive way. That's just my take on it. But the people that Krishan has around her, to me, that's what they pushing her to do. They pushing for the crash outs. They pushing for the bad exposure. That's what whoever her publicist is, to me, that's the image that they're trying to publicize because that's all they show. Her playing with this God thing, her with her family, this issue with her baby, because we all know that if this was somebody that we know regular, doing all this stuff with this baby, the issues that the baby got untreated, the state would have stepped in and snatched that baby fast because there's no doubt that they don't know where she's at. And yeah, I do believe that she's bouncing around from place to place. Yeah, I do believe that. And maybe that's why they can't pinpoint where she's at. But the areas. To me, you're aware of where she goes. It's just a matter of um her being there at the time, I guess, and not saying I want her and her baby separated because that's not what I want. But we know people that have been in this case and the kids got snatched off of them. A lot of this stuff just be, a lot of people don't want to hear, the truth ain't always pretty. The truth ain't always going to be soft and cushioned. Sometimes the truth is a ugly, painful, stinging thing. But I'd rather somebody tell me the truth than gaslight me and play on my head with a lie. Have me looking like a straight fool or putting myself in danger. Right now, it's just a lot. Like, this stuff is crazy. It's just been a lot of stuff going on that I just been seeing and noticing. And I'm just talking in real life. Just the type of job I do. I see a lot of things. I hear a lot of things. Um, and I'm no longer like, wow. Like, I'm no longer stunned by it. I'm no longer shocked by it. And it's a shame when you become desensitized. When you become desensitized to other folks' trauma, but a lot of us, we're dealing with our own stuff. We're dealing with our own, life issues going on that we really don't have time to be consumed by what other people are going through. And a lot of time, a lot of people, from what I know, they're not looking. I know when I go to talk, I'm going to speak for myself. When I go to speak to somebody or just trying to vent, I'm not going for no advice. I'm not going for you to uh try to put me in my place. I'm just coming to talk some things out, to release some things. I don't need to be criticized. And I think a lot of people take, like, that's what they do. They feel like when people come to talk to them, that they're looking for advice, they're looking to be criticized, and some people aren't even they're just looking for you to just be quiet and just listen. And we got to remember, like, I'm the type of person, I'm not quick to tell people, um, to show my vulnerable side. Let me say, I'm not quick to show people my vulnerable side, because a lot of people will take that and they will turn that shit around and they will use it against you in the most dreadful, evil, demonic fucking way. And then they think that they be having one up on you because you going through something. Well, I know the type of person, I always say I'm at my best when my fucking back is against the wall. I'm at my fucking best. So working under pressure, a lot of us is used to that because that's how our fucking daily life is. A lot of our daily lives, we work under pressure and motherfucking stress. So, all of that, it's just life for some of us. And I ain't saying that that's what life gotta be, but at one point in time, all of us have gone through some stuff and made it through to the other side, whatever it may be. When people be on here and they be talking that, oh, um, they be trying to wish all type of shit on you and saying your life is this and saying your life is that. And them motherfuckers can't even get up and brush their teeth because they so down in the dumps. They don't probably even get up and comb their motherfucking hair because they self-esteem is so much in the motherfucking toilet. But yet they come on here and they project what the hell they going through on you. And like, my thing be, if your motherfucking words got so much power, then speak some positivity in your own damn life. You come on here like you so anointed. They be coming on here like they so anointed and they so blessed and so favored, but your whole life is turmoil. For real. And that's why you can come on here and be so evil and so nasty to other folks. Because in real life, like, you ain't shit. Like, and that's just how it is, you know? But a lot of people, though, a lot of stuff just be straight projection on here. And that's one thing I'm learning. And it ain't that hurt. People always want to say hurt people, hurt people. No, some people, that's just how the fuck they are. They ain't shit, ain't never gonna be shit, and never was shit. You know, you see how these people move because we are creatures of habit. That's one thing about human beings. We are creatures of habit. And eventually, we're going to show our true self. So you'll see just how a person is. You just sit back and just watch them. You know, you just sit back and watch. They're going to expose just who they are. You know, that's why I say everything is, people show just how they are. You don't gotta act so and so. You don't gotta go around trying to. No, you ain't gotta do none of that. Just sit back and watch. Just sit back and watch. That's why I don't be trying to convince nobody. I ain't into convincing nobody to do nothing. I ain't into trying to sway nobody. I ain't into holding nobody accountable. Hold you accountable for what? You a grown ass person. You already know what you doing. I don't got to tell you what you doing. I don't got to do none of that. That's one thing I never did. I never was a coddler or an enabler because it never happened to me. I never was coddled. My grandmother was an old Southern woman. And we all know, right, TRW, a lot of these damn CCs got mental health issues, untreated. Let's put that in there, girl. Untreated mental health issues. Unmotherfucking treated health issues. I never got coddled. That's one thing about me. I never got coddled. And a lot of us, if we got brothers, we all know that the girls were probably treated a little harder, a little different than the boys. A lot of the boys, we got to be honest. A lot of the men, they were coddled a little bit. They were nurtured and, they had a little more, protection. Definitely, when the world is harder on women than anybody else, but then they say we can't do the job that they do. But nobody gives females a break at all. We don't even give ourselves a break. A lot of us are, as women, we're more harder and critical on ourselves than anybody can ever be. You don't have to look for people to correct you or different things like that. Because if you can sit and evaluate yourself, you're more harder and judgmental on yourself than anybody on the outside could ever be. And a lot of people, I feel, just don't give themselves a true chance. A lot of people don't give themselves a true chance to do something different, to operate outside of the box that they're used to operating in. Because as we know, untreaded, oh, excuse me, I'm trying to smoke and talk. Untreaded territory is definitely uncomfortable. When we are walking in untreaded territory, we don't feel comfortable. We're guarded. But sometimes there's nothing wrong with just doing things a little different, taking a little risk. And a lot of us, we don't do that. We don't do that at all. And I think that's how I believe that's how you bring yourself to that next level in life, is to challenge yourself. Work outside of your comfortability. You don't always have to be in that comfortable spot. Sometimes work outside of that, to grow to that next level in life, you know. I always say, because growing up, I never wanted kids. I'm not, I to be honest with you, I don't care for kids. I'm not a kid type of person. I never babysat for extra money. You know, I never really babysat my sister's kids. If you watch, ain't none of that. We trade. I watch the kids this day. You watch the kids that day. Hell no. You watch my kids. I'm gonna pay you. So when I became pregnant, I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed in God. And I used to always question, what the hell was God's purpose in making me a mother? And I used to say it had to be to teach me patience, because I don't have patience at all. I did not have patience for nothing. So I said it had to be God's lesson in me learning how to have patience, because I did not want kids, you know. And I learned how to just be patient. Um, I learned how to not be so judgmental and so reactive. I was a big reactor. Oh, say something wrong to me, I'm on your ass. You don't even got to say nothing. Just look at me wrong. Oh, and I'm gonna tell you, when I was growing up in my teenage and my early 20s, oh, I was so angry. I was angry at the world. And I tell you, that is more tiresome. That wears you out than anything. Walking around mad at the world for no reason. It takes a lot of damn energy. I was in college at the time. I was going for my nursing, and I stayed tired because I was walking around with all that damn hate and anger for no reason. No damn reason at all. And a lot of times that's just all it is. It's just you holding on to extra energy for no reason. I think if a lot of us change our ways, sometimes we won't be so goddamn tired all the time. We can do some other things in life. Um, that's how I just learned to, like, when I was starting my therapy. Um, right now I'm going through trauma therapy. Um, and I'm telling you, I just have a whole different outlook on life. Um, and I try to find something good in everybody. But like I said, I'm a true believer that some people just ain't shit. There's just some ain't shit ass people in the world. Like the one preacher, I think he was from Chicago, like he said, yeah, we say it takes a village, but what happens if the village is retarded? Like I said before in the beginning of the live, when is it okay to say that the parents failed the child? We never want to blame. And I'm not saying that you blame the parents like, oh, it's their fault. I'm saying they did not prepare themselves to educate and teach their child. So in turn, you failed the child because you didn't prepare yourself. You didn't prepare yourself for everything you had to deal with that child. And that's just it. And I'm talking both parents, like before we talked about it earlier before. So A lot of times we got to realize as parents, it don't be about us. It's never about us once we become a damn parent. And I don't think it never will be about us until our kids get to be adults. And even sometimes it don't be about us, you know. Um, and that's just it, you know. I take life. I'm a realist. One thing about me is I'm a realist. Um, yeah, there are, Movado, you're right. There's so much more available to parents. And that's why I'm saying, as a parent, you got to equip yourself to and educate yourself to be able to protect and be there fully for your child. But a lot of parents, and I'm talking both parents, don't do that. They don't do that. They believe it's other people. They believe, oh, it's only the teacher's responsibility to teach the child. Oh, it's only like we put the responsibility on other people, and it's okay to say, oh, if the child don't know how to read, then the school failed the child. Nah, the parent should have been putting on in the extra work if you know that's an area that your child is struggling. That's what I mean. You know, and that's right. Some of them do be kids with kids, girl. A lot of them be kids with kids. Because my mother was a young mother. My mother was a teenage mother, and she she didn't finish high school. She dropped out in her senior year, but she went back to get her GED. And then my mom went off to college and all of that. So uh you're right. A lot of times it was just um kids having and even today, a lot of mothers still have not grown up. They are still stuck at that age to where sometimes where they became a parent. A lot of mothers now worry more about being their kids' friend and if their kids like them than they are about being a parent. You know, I think most of us are maybe 70 babies, early 80 babies. Because if you ask me after that, I don't know what happened to our community. Well, we know what happened. We know what happened. So I ain't gonna say we don't know what happened. Many things happened. Many dynamics happened in our community. But um a lot of things, I just lost my whole train of thought. But back when we were growing up in 70s and the 80s, things were a lot different. I think we're probably the last ones that had a true childhood and that true village, that true meaning of a village, where you had extended family members, you know, that all took a part in raising and looking out for each other, not just the children, but for each other, you know? Would you say bravado? You said I was a young mom, 19, didn't know much, but I knew what I didn't want myself or my child to be. I used TV to elevate from what I came to want better. That's right. And that's it. We have to want better. And a lot of times you have to be encouraged to want better. Like I said, my parents, we grew up in the hood. We grew up in the project. And my mom, she had me at 16 and she dropped out in 12th grade and she went back and got her GED. But she was encouraged, to go back by her mother and friends and, just the people around her. A lot of young girls back then, remember, from what I could recollect, they were told, it's your baby, you gonna stay here and raise it. They couldn't finish school, or it was hard for them. Cause I remember when I was going to high school, a lot of my classmates, they brung their kids to the daycare at school. A lot of them, they carried them babies right on their hips going to daycare. And a lot of times that is stressful on a teenager. Like you said, they still a kid themselves. So now they trying to live their life through their kids. They growing up with their kids. So they feel like they the same age as their kids and her peers. Yep. That's how it was, Movado. They used to tell them young girls, this is your baby. You gonna stay here and raise it. A lot of them, they ain't had no help. You know, like I said, I've seen a lot of my friends, they would be struggling with their kids, getting them to school early in the morning, trying to finish high school. And it's hard, especially, when how it could be for our community. And but now we got more resources. So I don't think, we still dealing with the same issues that we seen a lot of our grandparents dealt with. So, like, to me, why I have a lot of questions as to why are we still dealing with those issues our grandparents dealt with. Being that as people believe we have more things available to us. But in 2026, we are still dealing with issues that they was dealing with in 1960s. And just like I was telling people, the civil rights movement is only what, 55, 60 years old. So even the civil rights movement is still fairly young. So we not only got them issues, we got current issues. And they always saying, oh, they looking for the black folks to protest here. They looking for the black folks to stand up there. But who the hell be standing up with us when it's time to really be one of us? Because everybody want to be black. Everybody want to be part of the being black until it's time to really be black. You get a lot of that too. Oh, I'm black and so and so. I'm black and so and so. Yeah, everybody want to be black until it's time to really fucking be black. To ask them, do they want to live in the piss and the hard way? A lot of them wouldn't even know what the fuck to do with what we got to deal with. And then they want us to stand with all these, like I'm not one of them by far, but I was hearing, you hear, oh, you ain't stand with the Somalians, you ain't standing with this people, you ain't standing with that people. Why do they want us to stand with them when we can't even get the shit that they could get? They even get more than we get. Because ain't no way on this green earth that our community would have been able to fraud the government out of almost $900 million worth of fraudulent money in businesses. Ain't no way. Ain't no way we would have got as far as them Somalians did with this fraud. And do I believe it went as far as they trying to say it did? I don't know if I believe all of the numbers either, but even immigrants, they get allowed and open, they can walk through doors of this country that we still can't go in. They venture down avenues that us as blacks still aren't welcome. So we hear that, and to me, it's like, are you serious? You know, and that's one thing, like when I be hearing all these people, oh, protesting, the black people this and the black people, what y'all want us to do? Like we supposed to just welcome everybody and nobody welcomes us. Like I don't even fall for all that mess. That's like I was just saying, they talking about all this stuff, they get to talking about, oh, they separating families. You got these people saying they separating families, they splitting up families. One thing I know, and I seen, you let one of our mothers or aunts or had committed a crime. They done snatched the kids off of them and threw the woman right in the cage. So they've been separating our families for how long? So if that's your argument of why we should stand with you, that ain't much to stand on in my eyes. Right. And all these protests for what? All that's the same thing I say, Maisha. All these protests for what? And they allowed it to happen. And a lot of these politicians, I'm so sick of these Democrat politicians with this victim mentality. I don't think none of us are ever tried to say we were victims. I don't think none of us ever took the victim approach in any of this. But you got these Democrats always screaming victim, and no, that ain't it by far. We just want we just want to be treated fair. And I ask people that all the time. Do you want to be treated fair or do you want to be treated equal? Because if you want to be treated equal, equal could be meaning a whole lot of things. And that's why for me, it's more important to be just treated fair. Treat me fair. And that's just, people get all into that. And that's just one thing that I'm just really sick of. Not just the Democrats. I'm talking Democrats and Republicans. They come with this victim role, and nobody wants to be a damn victim. We just want shit to be right. Mean what you say and say what the hell you mean. Because even the Democrats, when shit gets shut down or shit goes some type of way for the civilians, the politicians still get paid. We fighting and struggling to pay for health insurance. They get the best health insurance for free as long as they live, them and their family. And a lot of us can't even insure or get insurance through our jobs because the damn insurance is too high. Like, come on, both of them, Democrats and Republicans, is full of shit. So I never really get into that. If you're a Democrat, if you are a Republican, I'm like you, Maisha. All these damn protests for what? For people to steal more money? For y'all to launder more money? And for y'all to expose certain groups? Y'all ain't going to expose all the groups. Trust you, just selective ones to get exposed, so the other ones can get away with committing the fraud. That's how that goes. You want to say, oh, you blowing the whistle or you exposing something, but you're being very selective on what you're exposing um and putting out here. And that's why I say I don't trust none of y'all. I don't trust none of these politicians. And I'm close to Canada. I'm not too far from Canada. A lot of Canadians, they do still come to where I live to shop. Um, and I don't see how a country like Canada, they give free health care. They give a lot of free things to their tax-paying citizens that us as Americans, we should have. Being the most rich or one of the richest countries in the nation, we don't even do any of that. And that's why I say to me, the whole system is corrupt. Not just certain parts of the corruption are corrupted. These people want to play in our face. It's like you was talking about them damn elections. Oh, you saying the election system is fraudulent. The election system is this. Then what is that saying about your election? We already know the truth. But quit playing in our face. That's why I say people just play in your face because they think what they say by nature, Americans are stupid. Ain't that what they used to say? By nature, Americans are stupid. And, people just, I don't know. I guess we just individuals, and you got to accept people for just who they are and what they are. That's it. But I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. And thanks everybody for coming and supporting. I really enjoyed the interaction with everybody. And I'm gonna probably come back on probably next week. Because I'll be off of vacation. I gotta get back to this job and work like a Jamaican. So everybody be blessed and enjoy the rest of your day.